Hey, you know why we're here. The Kansas City Chiefs will be kicking off the 2024 NFL preseason against the Jaguars, and we have a list of things, position by position, worth watching in tonight's game. Where will the Chiefs find themselves with next week's depth chart? Some of those questions will be answered tonight. At the wide receiver position, I have two main questions. Number one, what does Sky Moore do? And I don't mean this from the standpoint of, hey, what does Sky Moore do? No, what I mean is, last season we saw Sky Moore have the exact same season as his rookie season. What will Sky Moore be doing during the 2024 NFL season? He has been very quiet at camp. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. We don't know exactly where it is that Sky Moore will be lining up on the field for the Kansas City Chiefs, besides to say at the wide receiver position. If he is able to take that next step, it has to start tonight. There are no shortage of wide receivers on this roster who will be begging for his playing time, who will be acting in ways that might perturb Sky Moore in the fact that they may be making receptions. The number two question that I have here is where are Nico Remigio and Justin Ross? Where are they as far as their ascendance on this depth chart? We got the actual depth chart, and both of these wide receivers are listed lower than I would have thought. This is, of course, the first depth chart of the preseason. There is no reason to ring alarm bells at this point, but we have to see action from these two. They cannot remain training camp darlings and expect themselves to be contributors on Sundays for the Chiefs. Well, Sunday and Saturday and Friday and Thursday and Monday and Tuesday for the Kansas City Chiefs. They have to start climbing their way up that depth chart now. I think they will, but we have to see what they end up doing. And I don't think it's going to come down to just receptions. Obviously, it won't. There will be tape studied of this game, and are these wide receivers able to get themselves open so that they would potentially be targets for Patrick Mahomes in this offense? On the offensive line, now we're starting with wide receiver and offensive line because those are the places of emphasis for this team. They were the places of emphasis for this team heading into the offseason. They are the places of emphasis for this team heading into the first preseason game. Where does Wanya Morris pop up? We have seen him play left tackle. We saw him start 4 games as a rookie. We have seen him line up at left guard in training camp. I remain steadfast in the idea that Wanya Morris is going to push for a starting tackle position, whether it is on the left side or the right side. And this heads into the number 2 and 3 questions. Is Kingsley Suamataia fast enough? Now, not straight line fast, but pass setting fast. The big knock on Kingsley coming out of college was that speed rushers were going to give him problems in the NFL. We have seen that a few times in training camp. We have seen someone take his outside shoulder, and he was unable to really reset himself during said reps. If he is being trusted to protect Patrick Mahomes' blind side, that is going to have to remedy itself. And it's not to say that it's going to have to remedy itself because Wanya Morris is breathing down his neck. No, Wanya Morris has the same concerns, especially at the blind tackle position. Patrick Mahomes is right-handed, and that left side is going to be very important for this season as the Kansas City Chiefs are looking to stretch the field and turn more to downfield passing. The number 3 question here, does Jawan Taylor get called for a penalty? He was penalized on accepted penalties, I believe, 17 times last season, which was the most for an offensive player in close to 2 decades, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was 16 years, I think was the highest amount of penalties accepted on an offensive player in something like 16 years. If that continues, I think that Wanya Morris is going to be a threat to him at the right tackle position. He is more of a right tackle. He did play right tackle in college. Perhaps part of his struggles last season were the fact that he was trying to play left tackle as opposed to right tackle, where he had played for years prior. It doesn't seem like a big deal from the outside, but your drop step is a very big part. Your first drop step is a very big part of defending against speed rushers. And if you were having to switch what foot is that drop foot, it can mix you up. And I think that we haven't seen it, but I think that Wanya Morris is going to be the swing tackle, is going to be the tackle who comes in on either side should there be an injury. And I think Jawaan Taylor's performance last season, I have been a long time defendant of Jawaan Taylor, advocate for Jawaan Taylor's playing time. Pardon me, I don't know what's going on right now. I think that he will have a rebound season, Jawaan Taylor, but if he does not, Wanya Morris will be there. The other thing on the offensive line to watch are the rookies. CJ Hansen at guard, Hunter Nourzad at guard/center, and Ethan Driscoll, who has had some first-team reps during training camp. Ethan Driscoll, an undrafted rookie free agent out of Marshall, very big, 6'8", very long arms, not the fleetest of foot. And I know that's a refrain talking about these offensive tackles, but it is a very rare trait for offensive tackles. It's a very rare trait for guys that are that big to be able to handle speed rushers. So there's a lot of criticism around why can't Brett Veach draft wide receivers? Why can't Brett Veach draft a left tackle? Well, it's difficult when you're picking at 32nd every year. Not to make excuses, but those guys are very rare. Should the Chiefs find themselves suddenly with an offensive tackle in Ethan Driscoll who can contribute, all of a sudden you have Lucas Niang who becomes superfluous, who becomes a tradable asset. Might not seem like a tradable asset, but if Lucas Niang is able to put some reps on film this preseason to make it appear that he has not lost a step, that he is not rusty, despite not playing a whole lot of football in 4 years or so, offensive tackles are in great demand in the NFL, and any tradable assets, the Chiefs already, I think, they are projected to have 2 7th-round compensatory picks because they signed 2 free agents, but they lost 4. So will Mike Edwards and Willie Gay net the Chiefs 2 compensatory picks? If so, they should be sitting around, I believe, 9 or 10 draft picks in this coming draft. Should they be able to trade someone like Lucas Niang for a 7th rounder, we have seen the magic that Brett Veach is able to produce in the 7th round. Jalen Watson, anyone? Isaiah Pacheco, anyone? Should they find themselves with 10 draft picks, I don't think they will stay put at 10 draft picks, 11 draft picks. I think they're going to move around as much as they can, especially considering the fact that the Chiefs seem poised, if not to draft 32nd. I think they are the prohibitive favorites to be drafting 32nd. But that type of mobility in the later rounds will prove to be necessary for a team looking to keep their reign going when you're drafting that late every season, right? So these 3 linemen, CJ Hansen, Hunter Nourzad, and Ethan Driscoll, are going to be very important for the Chiefs and their ability to move around in the draft. At the running back position, how is Deneric Prince in traffic? The reason I want to see that is that for all of the heat that Clyde Edwards-Helaire has taken, he is very good in traffic. Maybe not at the line, but after he gets past the line of scrimmage, when he is in traffic, he keeps his feet moving. He is able to sidestep players as they come, and he is able to get a lot of yards that would not be available to other players. Also, and do not take this as a slight at Isaiah Pacheco, because I think he got markedly better as last season went on, But one of the things that we've seen from Isaiah Pacheco is that not only does he not shy away from contact, he kind of runs into it sometimes. Again, he got much better as the season went on, but being good in traffic is an invaluable type of skill for a running back to have in the NFL, especially if you are looking at having limited carries during a game because of a strong passing game, which the Chiefs are hoping to have this season. Finally, at the running back position, is Louis Rees-Zammit a football player? I'm not 100% sold on the fact that we're going to see him at the running back position in this game. I think that this game is going to be used to figure things out for the top four running back, or the top four running backs on the depth chart. I don't know if we'll see CEH play because we have seen him get limited time during this training camp thus far. Is he in game shape? I don't know. But if we do see Louis Rees-Zammit at the running back position, is he able to contribute there? It cannot be undersold that Louis Rees-Zammit, though he is signed to the Kansas City Chiefs and in the NFL, which is the pinnacle for football, has other options. He is a rugby star. He can go back to playing rugby whenever it is that he decides to do so. If he finds himself on the practice squad, I don't know if that's enough to keep him around. If he finds himself on the field in limited capacity, I don't know if that's enough to keep him around. It is. I know he's a very popular player. I know that the story is extremely compelling. It is very rare that we see someone make that transition from another sport to football. There's just so much going on the field. At the quarterback position, what does the dynamic between Chris Oladokun and Ian Book look like? It strikes me that the backup quarterbacks we have seen in Kansas City since the Patrick Mahomes reign began is that they are being called in for their skills with accuracy. Chris Oladokun, very skilled thrower of the football. Chris Oladokun, very good at eluding pressure. Chris Oladokun can create plays where none exist. I don't know that that is what the Kansas City Chiefs necessarily need in a backup quarterback. Now, obviously, we're talking about the third string quarterback, the emergency quarterback, not the number two. Carson Wentz is the number two here in Kansas City. He is an accurate type of guy. When you are talking about an Andy Reid offense, and you're talking about an Andy Reid offense that's being parsed down because someone else is missing time, accuracy might be king among the sort of attributes that are necessary for that position. I like Chris Oladokun. I don't know that this is the offense for him in a backup capacity. At the tight end position, can Wiley take snaps from Noah Gray? If he is able to, already in the preseason, that means very good things for the offense. Noah Gray has been a productive player at the number two tight end position, but he has not been someone who you look at and necessarily say he can take the next step. Years number 2 and years number 3 for Noah Gray look very, very similar. Maybe that is his ceiling from that position in a season where I am expecting Travis Kelce to have fewer snaps, to have fewer receptions, and fewer yards. The Chiefs may be calling on someone to have a higher impact than Noah Gray can give them. Noah Gray is a good number 2 tight end. He would be an exquisite number 3 tight end. But after that, where are Irv Smith, Baylor Cupp, and Jorquarius Spivey? If Irv Smith looks to me a lot like Noah Gray. If you're looking at him from an athletic standpoint, if you're looking at him from a tools standpoint, he looks a lot to me like Noah Gray. If the Chiefs are able to figure out that he offers the same type of upside that does Noah Gray, it may mean that they can trade either Irv Smith or Noah Gray. Noah Gray having more success at the NFL level over the past 2 seasons than Irv Smith might mean that Noah Gray is a more tradable asset. Baylor Cupp is a guy that I have since they picked him up as an undrafted free agent, I have said offers the team a Blake Bell type tight end, and that is a guy that they like to have around, a great big tight end who can block a little bit. And I think Baylor Cupp might be the best blocker that they have in this group. So he might be in line for that 4th tight end position should the Chiefs keep 4 tight ends. And finally, Jorquarius Spivey, I think he is offering the Jody Fortson type of ceiling, maybe. I think that he is a big wide receiver rather than a traditional tight end, just like Jody Fortson was a wide receiver who was converted to tight end. But he has a couple years on the Jody Fortson experiment in that he did play tight end already. So there are the questions for the offensive side of the football. What about defense? At the cornerback position, is Jalen Watson up to speed? Jalen Watson just got back in camp. He has not been taking part in many of the contact drills. Is he able to go? Is he able to go full tilt? Jalen Watson, in my opinion, there's a lot of consternation about that number 2, number 3 cornerback spot for the Kansas City Chiefs. In my opinion, Jalen Watson is primed to be the number 2 cornerback in Kansas City. The Chiefs play a lot of cornerbacks, so I am not quite as worried about corner as a lot of people are. I am not quite as worried about cornerback as the defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, may seem to be from time to time. I think that this works out. We have seen Jalen Watson on the field since he was drafted in the 7th round. Najee Johnson, another 7th rounder for the Kansas City Chiefs, proving further what it is that Brett Veach can do with 7th round picks, has pushed for playing time all training camp long. He pushed for playing time all last year until his injury. So I think that he will be up to speed. Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams are the big questions. The next thing I want to watch is the 3rd and 4th quarter cornerbacks. Kelvin Joseph and Keith Taylor were brought in order to be veterans at the position and offer some of that floor that the Kansas City Chiefs are questioning at the cornerback position. Last year, the Chiefs took 5 corners into the season. The last corner on the depth chart was Nick Jones. Nick Jones finds himself currently the 9th corner on the depth chart. 8th, 9th, 10th, somewhere in there. Nick Jones versus Kamal Hadden versus Miles Battle, who is a UDFA that I made a video about on this channel because I think he has a lot of upside, is going to be something that one of these guys, in my opinion, is going to make the roster. Nick Jones, Kamal Hadden, Miles Battle. 1 or 2 of them will be on the practice squad. Miles Battle seems to be a practice squad type guy. However, if he is able to come in and immediately outplay Kamal Hadden, that moves him up a spot. If he's able to outplay Nick Jones, a draft pick just last season, it's going to mean very good things for Miles Battle and the Kansas City Chiefs, because we saw Nick Jones last year and he has proven that he is an NFL level corner. I think that this position group is sneakily very, very deep and very, very, maybe very good. Maybe not very, very good, but very good. Maybe not with the upside that last season had, because L'Jarius Sneed was in another league last season, somehow not finding himself on the top 100 for the NFL. But I don't think we can necessarily hold that against him, against the players who voted on it, or anyone in between, that he did not end up on the top 100, because a lot of that is going by reputation. And though we knew about L'Jarius Sneed prior to last season in Kansas City, I don't think his story was all that well known league-wide. It will be. At the safety position, what does the rotation look like? Jaden Hicks came into Kansas City and absolutely set the training camp on fire by performing as he has performed. Jaden Hicks might find himself... Look, we're not going to have Justin Reid in this game. Is Jaden Hicks able to capitalize on the playing time and force himself further into the discussion at the safety position? Force himself... So Justin Reid has last season got around 1,000 snaps. That's a lot. The prior season, I believe he had 1,036 snaps, something absolutely insane. I don't know if he's going to get that many reps this season simply because the Chiefs have so much depth at the position, even losing a guy like Mike Edwards. At linebacker, where does Leo Chenal line up? I don't mean will he play linebacker. What I mean is will they put him on the line of scrimmage? Will they put him in the A-gap? Will they put him as an edge rusher outside of FAU or Mike Dana or George Karlaftis? Will he be lining up next to those guys in order to put pressure on opposing quarterbacks? I think we're going to see a lot more of that this season. And finally, at the linebacker position, Cam Jones and Curtis Jacobs are both UDFA acquisitions by Brett Veach in this front office. They look like NFL guys to me. I think one of them makes the roster. I don't think the other one does. Linebacker is not necessarily a position where you see too many trades because there are linebacker and running back are positions that were once sort of... You go back to the year 2000, and if you had a running back or a linebacker that was a tradable asset, you would get the type of return that you would get on a defensive end or a wide receiver in today's NFL. Cam Jones or Curtis Jacobs? Which one makes the roster? Which one is a practice squad guy for the Kansas City Chiefs? I don't think you get a whole lot of return, if anything at all, from either of them in a trade scenario. At defensive end, does FAU look improved? Is FAU able to produce on Saturday? This is a question that if it's an affirmative, if Felix Anudike-Uzomah is able to contribute more this season than he was last year for the Kansas City Chiefs, this is going to be a front four that is very, very dangerous so long as they have all of their starters. Once Charles Omenihu comes back, if FAU is really cooking at that point in time, there's not a whole lot of stopping this pass rush. Then they took a flyer on Owen Carney, a young player out of Illinois that he looks like Mike Dana. If he is able to produce at half the level Mike Dana is able to produce, the Chiefs front four gets... If he's able to force the Kansas City Chiefs to carry him on the active roster, it's going to be good things, and it's going to be good things real fast because the Chiefs are a team that plays a lot of defensive linemen. Right now they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defensive ends on the roster. If he is able to make the Chiefs consider getting rid of Malik Herring from the roster, moving on from Malik Herring, I guess, would be the more PC way to put it. Malik Herring, another UTFA, by the way. Malik Herring is an NFL guy. Malik Herring is an NFL player. He has produced at the NFL level for a couple years now. If the Chiefs are able, they have to keep churning the bottom part of the roster. Malik Herring finds himself in that bottom part of the roster. If they are able to upgrade at the defensive end position over Malik Herring and get younger in the process, that's an absolute win for the Chiefs. One thing I didn't put on here, Truman Jones. I really like Truman Jones. Truman Jones is a guy who produced at a high level at Harvard. If he is able to, he's a little bit undersized, 6'3", 250, maybe sub 250. If he is able to produce in the NFL, he's not going to be able to produce in the NFL at the rate that he produced in college. Otherwise, he would have been on the roster last season. He was a very productive guy at Harvard. Having this many pass rushers, having this many edge players for the Kansas City Chiefs would be absolutely monumental, especially when you're getting so many of them like Malik Herring, like Truman Jones, like Owen Carney, basically for free. At defensive tackle, is Fabian Levette real? I have said since Fabian Levette was signed as a UDFA just a couple months ago, he's real. He's going to be in position to make a push, not just for the roster, but for actual playing time this season. Fabian Levette is a guy that never really showed pass rush upside in college, but he's very good against the run. He finds himself 6'3", 316 pounds. Derek Noddy is 6'1", 317, so he offers a little bit of length over Derek Noddy. If he has the same upside as a run stopper that does Derek Noddy, the Chiefs' defensive tackle rotation is solidified. Derek Noddy has been a guy that the Kansas City Chiefs have maybe leaned on a little bit more than they would like to, because it's difficult to find defensive tackles that can produce at the NFL level. It's difficult to find players who are able to maybe overcompensate versus the run because you are playing next to Chris Jones, and you're not. Chris Jones sometimes overcorrects towards the pass when he doesn't have to. It has proven absolutely miraculous for the Chiefs because you get a defensive tackle who can get 16 sacks in a season, and you're doing very well for yourselves. But it is sometimes a weakness versus the run. Fabian Levette can shore up run stopping, or can shore up the defense versus the run. Can Neil Farrell get reps this year? Neil Farrell has looked improved during training camp. Neil Farrell has been, I won't say a rock against the run, but he's been very good against the run, and he's doing very well in his individual drills in camp as well. So if Neil Farrell can push for playing time, can be improved over last season, suddenly you can have a defensive tackle rotation that you didn't have at times last year, and you haven't had at times when Tershawn Wharton has been injured. And finally, the last thing to watch, the Alex Gubner flyer. Alex Gubner was an intriguing UDFA defensive tackle signing this season. Alex Gubner, who goes, if I can find it here real quick, 6'3", 284 pounds. He is a Tershawn Wharton-sized defensive tackle. You're not looking at a whole lot, right? You're not going to be looking for a guy who can come in and start on the defensive tackle, at the defensive tackle position for the Chiefs. You're looking for a guy who can add some reps, not meaningful reps, but can he eke out 5-6 reps per game? That is probably at this point the ceiling for Alex Gubner, but if he is able to be that type of guy, again, a UDFA would be an absolute win for the Chiefs. Anything that gets this position to perform better than it did last season outside of Chris Jones means a defensive line upgrade. The defensive line between defensive end and defensive tackle are positions that this team looks to really benefit from hard work and dedication in the scouting department this season. If they can rebuild depth at those positions, if they can keep young talent coming through this roster at positions that are difficult to draft for, especially late in the draft, it could mean continued dominance for this Chiefs team. That is all I have for this video. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do here, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other Kansas City Chiefs fans. And if you find yourself here by chance but not design, the Chiefs are the only thing I talk about on this position, on this channel. I'm tongue-tied tonight, guys. Hit the subscribe button because there's more Chiefs stuff in the future.